Todd loves sweets, and this is one seriously sweet pie. He also loves chocolate, peanut butter, so this pie covers all the bases. I also love this pie for all of the aforementioned reasons, but I also love it because it begins with a chocolate cookie crust. I'm gonna melt 4 tablespoons of butter in the saucepan and then grind up the cookies. I have exactly 25 chocolate sandwich cookies. Now I'm just gonna pulse these up. Don't worry about the creamy filling because it just totally disappears and becomes part of the crumbs. Now the butter is melted. I'll just drizzle it in. Butter and chocolate cookies. Life doesn't get any better than that. And then I'll just give it a couple of pulses just to moisten up the crumbs. And that is it. Very, very uncomplicated. That's one of the things I love about this pie. Now I will make a big mess as I pour the crumbs into the pie pan. And then the easiest way to get it in is just use your hands, start pressing the center. You want the crust to be pretty packed in there so then later when you slice the pie, the crust will stay together. Another thing I love about this crust is that it's a refrigerator pie and it doesn't have to bake. I'm just gonna stick the crust in a 350-degree oven for about 5 or 7 minutes just to get it set. You know, Todd is my youngest kid, but I think he has the biggest appetite in our whole family. So after this big morning of shipping cattle, he's gonna be ready for this meal.
So we got a whale, and we're gonna put it in the computer. Okay, 15,790.
15,790.
Okay.
Okay, the crust is done. It's nice and set. So I'll just let that cool while I make the filling. The filling begins with a cup of creamy peanut butter. I'm just gonna eyeball it. I don't wanna go through the effort of measuring it into the cup and then scraping it out of the cup. So if I get a little more or less, it won't hurt anything. All right, and then I've got an 8-ounce package of softened cream cheese. I'll throw it in there, and then I'll just whip this up for a sec. What a yummy, yummy mixture. Now to this mixture, I'll add 1.25 cups of powdered sugar. It's when I make pies like this that I realize what a messy cook I am. Chocolate crumbs everywhere, powdered sugar everywhere. Now I'll mix this together. And the final ingredient, avert your eyes, frozen non-dairy whipped topping. I've been thawing it so it's nice and soft. Of course, you can use regular whipped cream, but it just won't come out with the same consistency as this stuff. My grandma used to always have this in her freezer and fridge. I used to eat it by the spoonful. Don't tell anyone. Now I'll just mix this till it's really fluffy. You'll definitely need to scrape the bowl a couple of times during the process because you want all the sugar, all the peanut butter, and all the whipped topping to be mixed together. Okay, absolutely perfect. All right, now I'm just gonna put this into the cooled crust. I tell you, if you love peanut butter, this is your dessert. The whole kitchen smells like peanut butter right now. And then I'll just spread it around. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? And that is all there is to it. Now it just needs to sit in the fridge for a couple of hours until it's set. Who's ready for dessert?
I am. Oh, wow, that's nice.
That looks good, honey.
Oh my God.
Chocolate peanut butter pie.
All right.
No baked peanut butter bars are a cute, crunchy treat. They're so easy to make, and I love how there's no oven involved. Now, the bars have a nice chocolatey topping, and that's what I'll start on first. I've got 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips in a double boiler, and I'll just add about 1/2 cup of creamy peanut butter. Now it's gonna take a few minutes for that to start to melt, so I'll move over to the cookie part. I'm just using regular vanilla wafers. I've got them in a big plastic bag, and I'm just using a rolling pin to break them up. These cookies will serve as the structure of the peanut butter bars, and I love that they just come straight out of the pantry. So that's looking good right there. Now I'll move on to the mixer, and I've got 2 sticks of salted butter. Now, butter is not a pantry item. The butter is sort of indispensable when it comes to making these bars delicious, so I'll forgive myself just this once. Now, into this mixture, I'm gonna add a cup of crunchy peanut butter. All right, that looks like about a cup. Now, I'll start mixing this together. Butter and peanut butter. What is the world coming to? Now, while that mixes together, I'll check on the topping. Things are looking good over here. Oh, the peanut butter's all melted and the chocolate is too. So I'll just stir it around until it's totally mixed together. All right, that is looking great. Now I'll take that off to cool a bit. Now back to the mixer. I'm gonna add a little sweetness to this. 2 cups of powdered sugar, and I've learned the hard way to add 1 cup at a time. Now I'll turn it on and let it mix. And then I'll add the 2nd cup. If powdered sugar flies everywhere, it doesn't matter. Nobody's watching. Now, while this is mixing together, I'll just pour in 2 cups of mini chocolate chips, and I'll give those a chance to mix in. And now in go the vanilla wafer crumbs. I add the crumbs at the very last. I don't want them to crush up and get too fine in the mixing process. Okay, that is all mixed together. I do not want to over-mix it and crush up all those crumbs. Now I have a 9 by 13 inch pan. I smeared it with butter, and I'll just get the paddle, get all that extra off. And then this just goes right into the buttered pan. Now I'm just using the spatula to press it into a single layer. Try to get the top as flat as I can. Doesn't have to be perfect, of course. Okay, I've got that into a single layer. It looks amazing. It's about to look more amazing. I've got this beautiful chocolatey, peanut buttery topping, and I'll just pour it all over the top of these bars. I'm speechless, literally. I have nothing to say. It just looks so good. I would like to swim in this bowl of chocolate topping. Scrape the extra in. Goodness gracious. Now I'll just use a spoon to spread it into a single layer, get all the way out to the edges. I want every single bar to be covered with this chocolate. I get to lick the bowl. Now I want to sprinkle some peanuts on top, so I'll give them a quick chop. I don't need too many. I'm going to chop them really fine. And this is where you could also have some fun. You could just do vanilla wafer crumbs on top if you don't want to do nuts, saltines, even crushed up pretzels. Wow. That should be good. I'll just grab them and sprinkle them over. These are so darn easy. I make them a lot, and I never can get over how simple they are to make. Now you can do just a light sprinkling of nuts, or you can do a really thick layer. I'm somewhere in between. Absolutely perfect. Now I've got to get these into the fridge to set. I'm going to put them in there for at least an hour, and then they'll be all ready to cut. I cannot believe this pan was made from only pantry ingredients. Well, and a little bit of butter. Okay, so after about an hour in the fridge, they were ready to cut into bars. 3 cuts lengthwise and 4 cuts across. Then I piled all 20 of them onto a cake stand, and let me tell you, they did not last long. If I'm entertaining, if it's the holidays, or if I just need a show-stopping dessert, double chocolate pie is always a winner. It's really rich, super delicious, and everybody absolutely adores it. And that's the most important part. It starts with 1.5 cups of sugar, 1/4 cup of cornstarch. I added about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And now comes 3 cups of whole milk. This is basically a chocolate pudding filling for this pie. I'm gonna pour it inside a deep, rich, chocolatey crust. Now I'll add 4 beaten egg yolks, and then I'm gonna turn this heat on about medium, and I'll whisk it together while it slowly heats up. Now you could add vanilla and stop right here and you'd have a vanilla pie filling. I'm not happy with vanilla pie. I'm gonna make a chocolate pie, and it's as easy as just adding some bittersweet chocolate. And I have to say, this never gets old. Watching this chocolate melt and swirl into that pudding filling, oh my goodness. Okay, now once the chocolate is all melted, you wanna add 2 tablespoons of butter, and that just makes the filling a little bit more silky and rich. And then a little bit of vanilla. And then it's just about stirring until the butter is melted, and that takes about 4.3 seconds because this filling is so hot. Okay, I turned off the heat. So now that the filling's ready, I'm gonna grab the base for the pie. It's just a really simple chocolate crust. I used 9 chocolate graham crackers and added some melted butter and 3 tablespoons of sugar, pressed it into a pie pan and baked it at 350 for 4 minutes. Really simple. Now this is a very monumental occasion. Look at this. We don't even have to talk. We can just stare. Oh, it's so silky and beautiful. And if you play your cards right, you'll have a little extra filling left over. Now, I like to put wax paper on top of this chocolate pie filling. It's so much better than plastic wrap. You can actually press it against the filling and just let it naturally stick. And then after it chills, the wax paper peels off pretty neatly. Now, this is gonna keep setting as it cools in the fridge. I'm gonna pop it in there for 3 hours. As if that double chocolate pie isn't scrumptious enough, I'm gonna top it with a beautiful glossy meringue. So gorgeous. This is a really dramatic, beautiful pie. Okay, I'm adding a 1/4 cup of corn syrup to a little saucepan, and I'll add 1/3 cup of sugar, along with a couple of tablespoons of water, a pinch of salt, and I'm gonna turn the heat up pretty high. And I want to get this just to the bubbling point. It's not going to take long at all. You know, I don't normally put meringue on my pies. I save it for when I'm going to serve a pie around the holidays or if I'm having a dinner party. A meringue-topped pie just looks like you spent a little extra time on it. Okay, this is totally bubbling away, so I'm going to turn off the heat and move on to step 2 of the meringue. Now it's all about whisking the egg whites. I'm using 2, and I'll keep whisking them until they're frothy. Okay, now I'll add 1/8 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar and another little pinch of salt. And this is the fun part. I'm gonna grab this hot syrup, and with the mixer still going, I'm gonna drizzle it in a really small stream. The only thing that can mess up the meringue is impatience on your part. You've got to go really, really slow. Okay, just a little bit more. All right. Now I'm going to turn up the speed, and I'm going to let it keep whipping until stiff peaks form. Won't take long. The meringue looks marvelous. Beyond marvelous. All right, I'm gonna peel the wax paper off of the pie, and look, exactly as I promised, just a teeny bit came up. Okay, now I'm gonna put all of the meringue on top. Look at this, gorgeous and just bright white. And then I'm gonna use just a metal spoon to kind of smush this and spread it. And then you don't have to get fancy at the end, but you do want to have really pretty peaks in the meringue. Tap it here and there and sort of pull away. And I think that's about as good as my meringue peaks are gonna get. So I'm gonna use a torch to toast the little tips of the meringue. And it's just like toasting a marshmallow. If you hold it there for too long, it'll catch on fire. And then you'll have, whoop, a little black tip right there. But that's okay. Okay, I think I better stop. Sometimes I'll go too far when it comes to toasting meringue. Now I'm gonna put the pie on a beautiful cake stand. So that's the double chocolate pie. Let me tell you how I'm gonna serve it up. So for a little slice of pie heaven, I'll cut carefully through the meringue and filling, then use a cake slicer to lift it out. Oh my gosh, how divine is that? I cannot wait for dessert. It's ice cream cake, and it's gonna really hit the spot after everybody's been hauling hay. It's got a lot of great shortcuts, so it's not hard to make at all. I started with a frozen store-bought pound cake, and I cut it into 3 slices. I put 1 slice into a loaf pan that had been lined with plastic wrap, then I covered that slice with a cup of vanilla ice cream. I sprinkled on chopped peanut butter cups, then put on a 2nd slice of pound cake. The next layer of ice cream was chocolate, Todd's favorite. On top of that, I sprinkled some chopped chocolate candies. Then the final layer of cake goes on top, followed by a cup of chocolate chip ice cream. And for the topping, I squeezed chocolate sauce all over the top. This is the kind that hardens as soon as it hits the ice cream. Then I sprinkled on the 2 candies. I let it set for a few seconds, and then I loosely folded the plastic wrap over the cake. Then I put it into the freezer to harden, and I made a whole other cake. This cake is so simple to make, and I'll tell you how to serve it up. So you take the cake out of the freezer, lift it carefully out of the pan, peel back the plastic wrap, and voila, ice cream cake. Look at all those layers of deliciousness. This cake will make you very, very popular. Poke cakes are amazing, totally classic. I'm adding chocolate chips to a double boiler, which is nothing more than a heat-proof glass bowl over a pan of simmering water. And then I'm gonna pour in. Alex always likes to get close for these sweetened condensed milk moments.
It's a nice pour.
So you want to stir the chocolate chips and the sweetened condensed milk, and this is already heating up, and this is just a good way to heat up any kind of chocolate mixture without burning the chocolate. So I took a big old shortcut with these poke cakes because I knew I had to make 2, and I used really good quality chocolate cake box mix. So here's how you make a poke cake. Watch this, Alex. You take a wooden spoon and you basically just poke it. Wow. Poke holes in it. I remember Gaga, my grandmother, used to make poke cakes all the time, and she would let me pour the mixture over the cake once it was all poked. And sometimes she'd even let me poke the cake. Wow. Gaga was a wonderful woman. So, the cakes are poked. I'm gonna check on the chocolate chip mixture. Okay, let's cheat just a little bit. Okay, this really thin chocolatey mixture can you see?
Oh yeah.
Gets poured over the poke cake, and look, you want it to go into those holes. This looks like a dream. So that's the first cake. And look how good that looks, honey. Woo! Poke cake number 2, here we go. I would just dig into this right now. Look at that gorgeous glossiness. But a proper poke cake, in my opinion, has some kind of frosting. So, it's not the most gourmet choice, but I'm gonna make a really yummy chocolate whipped topping. And I'm starting with 2 packages of chocolate instant pudding. Don't judge me.
No judgment.
The Cowboys will be here soon. I do not have time to make a homemade pudding from scratch. And then to the pudding, I'll add some unsweetened cocoa powder. Trust me on this, it's so exciting. So this is instant pudding. And the glory of instant pudding is you just add milk and whisk. I am making a mess of the kitchen. Whisk it together. And then this is actually gonna thicken up into a luscious chocolate pudding. So let's check in on the gang out at the cattle pens.
Jody, what's your favorite part about working?
The favorite part is about, like, get on your horse. That's the most funnest part about it.
Oh yeah, getting on your horse. How's your day going, Josh?
Can't complain, don't do no good.
Life's motto. Can't complain, it don't do no good.
When I say pudding is gonna thicken up when you stir it, I mean it. Look at this. It's like magic. So this is a very intensely chocolatey mixture, and I am gonna break out the non-dairy whipped topping. I softened it overnight in the fridge, and the great thing about this stuff is it's so easy. You don't have to whip cream and sugar. And all of those cowboys out there totally grew up on this stuff, and they will absolutely love this cake. So you just want to fold it together. Okay, it's almost. Good grief, Ree. If you guys could see the floor, my clothes, under the height of this countertop, you would crack up. Okay, so look at this. Get in here. Look. Oh, bye, babe. So I will take half of this, and I actually baked the cakes earlier this morning because I wanted them to be totally cooled. And you just smear this chocolate topping all over. Now I'm gonna do the second cake, and it's gonna take me about 3 seconds. All right, chocolate overload poke cakes, 2 of them. We better try the cake since we kind of made it up. That turned out really good.
Yeah. I was crossing my fingers.